What's up, Zeros? Today we're going to be getting into what are the best cyberlimbs to be using currently and off the grid, what's popular, what's decent, what's balanced, and what I wouldn't be touching unless I absolutely had nothing else left. Now this meta list is going to be as of right now. It could change with the next update, but for the most part this is going to be valid for the next few months. So it's essentially a limb deep dive as well as doing a tier list. So let's go ahead and get into it. You can find the list with all the limbs right here in Tier List Maker if you just search my name, Easton7. And then you're going to see here we have meta, strong, balanced, weak, and trash. Me and my buddies were talking about it in a group Discord call. We ranked all these. This isn't all just off of my input. I asked them, and then we went off of solely what is the limb, not what is this player doing with it. Well, how did Ocelli do? Well, how did Thick Biscuit do? You know, all these people. How did Eastern survive the storm with Painkiller? What is Jova using? But really, it is just about what is the limb for itself. So I had me and a whole bunch of other friends over here in my Storm Discord. If you guys haven't joined, make sure you check down in the link below. You can join up, get all the information you want. I have multiple people in here daily, just vibing, chatting, talking about off the grid, yapping and whatnot. You know, we have people in the voice chats down here chilling. So just go ahead and join the Discord. You can play, you can get guns info, updates, events, OTG, ask questions. But like I said, we graded all these cyberlimbs here together in a call, and this is a work from all my Storm members. So thank you to everybody, Smoke, Doc, Lyricist, Jova, everybody that was in there, Dorts. I appreciate you all. Shout out to Gunny Gopher for making this website. He is not paid by Off the Grid for making this website. He's another ambassador in Off the Grid as myself, and it's a great tool to have if you're a player or if you're grinding Off the Grid daily. So I'm going to have it right here on the side of the screen just so we can use it as a tool. So let's go ahead and make our list. Off the Grid Meta Cyberlimb Ranking Tier List. So first up, we're going to start with the Buzzkilla. The Buzzkilla is an assault drone that you pop out of your shoulder, and it hovers on your shoulder as a drone that protects you and follows you everywhere you go. The description here is a little outdated. It did just get a recent update. When you have the purple Buzzkilla, it lasts for 35 seconds, has 150 drone health, and can shoot people at 15-meter range. It also does 20 damage per bullet and shoots in a 3 burst. You see some people running 2, 1 on each shoulder, and what that does is essentially just makes you a trio on your own and is very strong, easy to finish kills. Also, while you're knocked, if you still have them both up, it's doing a lot of damage to enemies while you are knocked, and if you have a teammate with a Painkiller, it's essentially like getting a self-res with a mini turret on your back. We're just going off of how the limbs are with their stats, the damage they do, and everything like that. If it's a strong tier weapon, but really good players can make it meta, then it's not meta, it's still strong tier. So keep that in mind moving forward with the different rankings I do. Our next limb we're going to be doing is Ghost. Upon activation, Ghost shoots a needle where you're looking. Within a 75-meter radius, you'll see a blue circle all around you. Anywhere within that circle, if you stop shooting or doing anything that's interacting with the map, essentially, you're going to be ghosted. If you shoot, you can go back into it. After 2 seconds, you'll be ghosted again. If you take damage, same thing. Now, you are able to be seen as ghosted. You are not truly invisible. You are essentially cloaked. So it is just reflecting the light around you. So I see people pretty easily on PC, especially when you have your settings on high, ultra, and stuff like that. Now, people on console might have a harder time seeing ghosts, but it is still a very good perk. However, I am going to put the Ghost down in the weak tier right now because of the 2-second in and out activation timer. I just don't really think it's personally worth it, in my opinion, to be able to use Ghost well unless you are just fully ratting and not playing as a trio, which, don't get me wrong, that will fit some people's playstyles out there when you aren't always having teammates and stuff, but I normally run with a team, and Ghost just ends up getting my teammates killed a whole lot more than what it's worth for me. But like I said, with the nerf that it recently got to 2.3 seconds, I would say it's somewhere between balanced and weak, but personally I am going to go ahead and put it in the weak tier because I think it could use a slight bit of a buff, so we are ending up with it here in the weak tier. Our next limb we're going to be covering here is the Paralyzer. The purple Paralyzer is a 40-second cooldown. It has 14 seconds between It has a 14-second lifespan, so while it's on the ground pulsing, it's going to be up for 14 seconds. It has a 14-meter pulse radius all the way to the outside edge, and within the small edge is 2 to 3 meters, and in that area is where you are directly paralyzed. Now, the scan radius altogether is 21 meters, not 14. So it is a very big area, but that's just for the loot crates around you. That's the passive ability of the loot crates around you. Paralyzer is very strong in the meta right now because it is disabling any other limb that you have. It also breaks trip mines on contact, so I'm constantly doing that right now. Our next limb we're going to be covering is the Slamfist, or as a lot of my friends like to call it now, the Gorilla Arm. Shout out Vlad and Dima for that, also Crypto Stash. But the Slamfist right now on activation is essentially a movement limb in one and a concussion limb in the other. If you don't cook it, as in charge it all the way up, because it does have a charge timer now, you're only going to be doing 125 damage. If you fully charge it all the way up, you're going to be doing 275 if you land your punch. The minimum debuff duration, if you don't fully cook it, which means how long are they concussed, is 2 seconds, and the maximum debuff duration is 4 seconds, so they're going to be concussed and have that red screen where they can't fully, you know, close their crosshairs. They aim on you for 4 seconds, so it is really worth it right now to fully cook your Slamfist. However, since the Slamfist nerf where they added the cook ability, I'm not using it as much because I'm just not able to do as much damage as I used to be able to. However, a lot of people aren't using it as much, which I'm enjoying, because then it means I'm not as concussed as much when you're getting double slam fisted and hammerheaded. If someone's doing that out there, got my eye on you. This isn't Marvel Rivals. You keep Hulk out of this. Like I said, it is still very good for movement. People are using it to get off the ground. People are using it to rotate. People are using it to slam people off roofs and kill them with fall damage. So right now, the Slamfist is going to end up in the balanced tier. And a lot of people might say it should be still in the strong. And a lot of people might say it's a little bit too weak right now. It needs to be up. But I think it should belong in the balanced tier right now with exactly everything I just described here. Our next limb we're going to be covering is the Hookshot. On activation, shoots a grappling hook that sticks to a surface and pulls you towards the target, or pulls the target towards you. This arm allows you to overcome obstacles and get to the hard to reach places. Using it is simple. Just point the cursor at the place you want to reach and activate the limb. So you just aim, point, shoot. You can pull people towards you, as you see right here, but you can also look up in the sky, grab a tree, grab a telephone pole, grab the top of a building, grab the ground in front of you, and you will be pulled towards it. So Hookshot with the purple, you do have 4 uses. That is very high for movement as one single arm. Versus a purple slam, you have 1 use every like 17 seconds. The Hookshot is very strong if you just need an arm, not legs, to get off the ground. The Hookshot is probably your boy right now because it recently got a speed boost. It recently got a projectile speed boost and return projectile. So if you accidentally miss when you're trying to hookshot something, the projectile is going to come back a little bit faster so you can get your next shot out. So the Hookshot is still very good right now, very valid for movement. I am going to go ahead and throw the Hookshot in the balanced tier, and hear me out. The Hookshot does 200 damage to enemies, right? And it could be maybe in the strong tier, but people aren't using it because they want lethal limbs more. Hear me out. With 200 damage, 4 shots on the purple, the East, and that's 800 damage. That's more than enough to get 1 kill. I hear you. But that's only if you're a really good player and you're really confident in your shots and you're hitting your shots. If you aren't doing that and you'd rather just use the lethal weapon and then use the Hookshot for rotation, or maybe just use a slam or something else, then that's completely valid. Now, I think the Hookshot is in the balanced tier. Maybe if we see 1 shot reduction on the purple, that might be a little bit better. 4 on the purple is crazy in my opinion. I think that's pretty strong. But I do think it belongs here in the balanced tier. All right, our next arm we're going to be covering is the Ripper. The Ripper is the slashing arm. The Ripper meta, if you guys are OG Zeros, you remember when people were double Ripper back in the day. Oh my gosh, that was a time to be alive. I am glad that we are not in the double Ripper meta anymore. The Ripper is doing 100 damage on contact. It is a 15-second cooldown on the purple. When you lunge, you get about 12 meters lunge with it, and you slice off whatever arm you make contact with, or leg. So if you hit their right arm, they're losing their right arm, and they have to now switch to their other arm if they're shooting at you. If you're chopping off their left arm, they're losing their left arm, and they don't have to stop aiming to shoot it to switch arms, but now like it's a little bit of a delay, you know what I'm saying? It's really easy now to chop off legs if you aim and hit the hitbox of their legs. I'm losing my legs all the time right now to Rippers. It's pretty frustrating, but I think it's pretty valid because I'm only taking 100 damage, and if you don't have another arm to get off the ground, then that's kind of on you. The only arm you can really get off the ground with, once again, is Hookshot, because Slamfist, you can't slam when you don't have hips. So when you do get your legs chopped, you got to really like try to fly, grab a zip line somewhere nearby to be able to get off the ground. With that being said, I am going to go ahead and throw the Ripper in the weak tier. Don't hate me. I don't necessarily want to see a Ripper buff, but maybe it just, if it gets like a tiny bit more damage buff, it would be worth it. Maybe 200 damage on Rip, maybe 175 would make it more worth it. That might be a little bit better. But I do think the Ripper is weak right now. All right, the Kinetic Shield. The Kinetic Shield did just get a rework we saw recently where it got a new nice square shape. You can see here in this little video where the guy is holding it. If he crouches, it's completely on the ground. Also now when it takes enough damage to be able to fling the damage back, it flings it back automatically. You don't have to shoot it on its own. So it's actually really easy to do damage fast with the Kinetic Shield. If you are good with the Riot Shield or Kinetic Shield from other games, I would go ahead and give this a try now. The max damage is 350 and the maximum range that you can blast damage is 25 meters. Some people make it look really easy when they're leaping backwards and using their Kinetic Shield in the videos you've seen, but personally I'm not very comfortable with the Kinetic Shield. I think I should use it a little bit more, and Loadout Ladder has been helping me with that. I think if I could use it well, I would be very good with the Kinetic Shield right now. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Kinetic Shield in the strong tier, but you don't have to be a good player to play well with the Kinetic Shield, and that's why I'm putting it up here in the strong tier. So the next limb we're covering is going to be Javelinas. Javelinas have a little lock on. It's essentially full aim assist if you do get the lock on. When you're holding it out, you're going to notice that there's a little triangle over your enemies that's white at first, and if it fully flashes red for 1 second, you're going to be able to let go and your missiles will heat seek that person. Now if there's an obstacle between you and that person, or if the missiles start to curve because the enemy's running away and they're chasing him and they run into an obstacle, it's going to hit that obstacle and not hit your enemy. But if your missiles do end up hitting your enemy, it's a guaranteed 250 damage, and you can lock on to 3 people at once. So if you can lock onto a full trio and hit your shots, that means you have 3 people essentially almost cracked. You've done 750 damage before you've even entered the fight. The Javelina right now is super strong. I think it should see a bit of a nerf, whether it's like the rocket speed or the overall damage of 250, I'm not exactly sure, but I am going to go ahead and throw the Javelina in the strong tier right now. Maxi Gun. After a short spin up, this Maxi Gun arm fires at a ridiculous velocity, but where extended use will start overheating, that causes it to lock up and it cools back down. So when you do have the Maxi Gun, you are going to have a 35-second cooldown on purple. Your max ammo is 300 in a clip. Your bullet damage per shot is 40 damage, and that's explosive damage, so you don't necessarily need to be hitting them. You can be hitting right at their feet, and the damage is going to be reflecting onto their legs, onto the rest of their body. You have 1,000 bullets per minute, 1,000 rounds per minute, and the movement modifier is 0.8, so you are a lot slower when you're trying to aim with the Maxi Gun. You're going to notice that it's hard for controller players, I think personally, besides the aim assist, to really chase someone when they're close on you with a Maxi Gun, whereas you see some really good mouse players like Ocelli tracking you instantly with the Maxi Gun. It's super easy, and just go off of what the gun purely is, what the limb purely is, and the limb is very strong. It recently got a buff a couple months back talking about adding damage and whatnot, so I've always been curious ever since that when it's going to see a nerf, and it hasn't quite yet, but with the recent limb pullout time nerf, so you pull out limbs even faster now, it made the Maxi Gun that much stronger, and we are going to go ahead and throw the Maxi Gun up in the strong tier. I would like to see a slight nerf to the Maxi Gun. I'm not exactly sure what. I don't have a recommendation for it. Maybe take the damage from 40 per bullet down to 30 per bullet. Take the max clip down from 300 to 200. But that's just me because I'm getting fried out of the sky by the really good players. I'm going to end up putting the Maxi Gun in the strong tier. Alright, the next limb we're going to be covering is the Bounce Bomber. The Bounce Bomber launches a grenade with gravity field technology, which explodes, causing damage. Grenade can either be remotely triggered or left to explode after which is 5 seconds. The cooldown between bounce bombs now is 9 seconds. You can't spam your bounce bomb back and forth. Thank you so much, Debs, for this. 1 bounce bomb from the arm is enough. It's a grenade launcher. That's all we need. Grenade damage is 290 if you are in the center of it. The explosive radius is 5.5 meters and the vacuum radius is 5 meters. It's still pretty strong. It's okay to escape a bounce bomb now with the new dodge effect, but if someone's really good with the bounce bomb, or if they're double bounce bombing you, or you're being bounce bomb trip mine, that's the really good players. Once again, we're getting into that area. It's not fun to fight against, it's not fun to use, and it's just like, I don't understand why the bounce bomber is still able to interact with other explosives on the map like trip mine. I don't think it should be able to interact with trip mine. That would literally solve the problem. Please, can we do that? So with that being said, I am gonna go ahead and throw the bounce bomber in the balance tier, and that's solely going off of it getting the recent nerf to not be able to spam them. All right, we have the Phosphor Fury, fire explosive darts that detonate on contact with enemies or surfaces, creating the damaging field of fire after the explosion. With the purple, you have a 25-second cooldown between shots. You do have 2 shots. The effective radius is 3 meters of when it is exploding. The effect damage per second when the fire is on the ground is 40 damage per second. The minimum damage the phosphor can do to you when you are stuck if they don't fully cook it, because the phosphor did get a cook nerf recently. It was added to also have a cook time, so when you go to cook your phos dart, you know how it's like slowly becoming a straight line, your arc. Once it becomes a straight line, you are max damage, and if you stick someone, it is going to knock them. But if you don't fully straighten out that line and you don't reach the max cook time, you're not going to be able to get a full knock. However, they are going to be very one shot after it does explode. But if you just immediately pop your phos like boop, then it's only going to do 290 damage you see here on the screen. Say balanced a bit, but I still think it's a rather strong as a player experience. Just getting stuck with a phos dart out of the middle of nowhere, there's no audio cue, nothing, you can't do anything about it. So I would like to see a tiny bit of a nerf, and I'm going to go ahead and throw the phos arm up in the strong tier. All right, for our next arm, we're going to be going over the Recon drone. The Recon launches a Recon drone that scans the area, highlighting enemies. The drone is active for a limited period of time. When you have the purple, the Recon drone duration is 18 seconds. The drone range is 30 meters, and the drone health is 225. So with the Recon drone now, there is a flashing pulse effect. It is about 2 or 3 seconds where enemies are on your screen, and then they're off your screen for about 2 seconds, and then they come back on again. Now this is going to last for about 18 seconds as you see on the screen, but the cooldown is 40 seconds. The Recon is still a very good arm. You want to have one person on your team running the Recon to really get that overall experience of the game and just have the overall communication of the team, whether you know how many people are on you, how many people are on the minimap, etc. Recon is very strong. So I am going to go ahead and throw the Recon up in the meta right now. And this is because, like I said, one person needs to be running it. Once again, we're getting into playstyles, but if you see the good teams out here, they always have one person who is running Recon, unless they're all just playing their separate lives. But if they're all sticking together or playing super tight in these tournaments, one person is running Recon because they want that information of who's around you, and if they are around me, where are they? Because can we coexist in the same area, or am I pushing them? Are they knocked? Etc. If it were to get a nerf, I would definitely move it down to probably balanced, but currently it's still wall hacks just like before. You see everything going on. It is a lot better with the wave. I do find myself surviving now when I have Recon. I'm able to shoot the drone a little bit more, so it could be strong, but I think it's going to go in the meta. For the next limb we're going to be doing, it's going to be the trip mine. On activation, shoots a laser triggered proximity mine that attaches to any surface. When an enemy crosses the beam, the mine jumps into the air and explodes. The player can deploy a single mine or create a tether between 2 devices, 3 devices. The amount of available mines depends on the CYBERLIMBS quality. So as you can see right here with the purple, you have 6 you're allowed to have on the ground at once. You are able to tether them together. So if you shoot one on this wall and you shoot one on this wall, there is going to be a trip mine now that crosses against the wall at the bottom of the ground, at the top, diagonal, however you do it. So it's really good the way that these are now in the game. It did have this ability earlier, but the linking was very hard to do. So now it auto links for you. I think that's awesome. They're a lot more utilized now. It's a lot easier to get kills with them now. I would like to see a attack damage decrease here. 550 is still so much for a trip mine. If we could get trip mine damage down to 450, I would be above the moon, because 2 would still fully knock you and 1 would just get you enough to where you're a couple bullets away from your life. And I don't know about you, but in Call of Duty, every time I got hit by a claymore, I didn't die. Every time I got hit by a claymore, I got hurt really bad and was very scared and waited to heal up, but I didn't die. I am going to go ahead and throw the trip mines in the balanced tier because, like I said, they are good, they are easy to be seen, but they are a lot better now that they've been utilized to be able to link. You don't see people abusing them as much as you would think with the bounce bomb nerf now, so they're going to be in the balanced tier. For our next arm we're going to be covering is Slugger. Purple Slugger fires canisters with highly sticky ferroliquid that significantly slows enemies. The effect doesn't last long, but it is enough for quick and efficient kills. The number of charges in its effect's lifetime depends on the CYBERLIMBS quality. So with the purple, you have the 20-second cooldown, you have the 20-second goo lifespan on the ground. So there is a jump height reduction and a movement speed reduction when you're in the sticky goo, and it isn't like nice. It's easy to be caught on fire from a false start, from a trip mine. You're easy target because you can't slide out, you can barely dodge out. You might be able to leap or hammerhead, but sometimes you won't be able to. It just depends. So Slugger is still very strong right now. It did recently get like a size reduction. It was like 25 meters, now it's like 20 meters. I'm not going to be using it personally, but I think it does about what it should do. I'm going to go ahead and put Slugger in the strong tier, and that's just because, like I said, it is still really able to stick you to the ground. You can't use your limbs, you can't use your legs, you can't dodge, you can barely slide spam out of it. So I would like to see maybe like a speed movement, like where you can dodge out a little bit faster or something. There's not much to counter Slugger. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and throw the Slugger in the strong tier. Skunkpaw. So Skunkpaw shoots a grenade with toxic gas that not only blocks visibility, but the target trapped inside the gas cloud can also damages them. When you're inside of an enemy Skunkpaw, you're going to be disoriented. You can't see what's going on. You can barely see what's 1 meter in front of you. You're slowly taking 22 damage per second, and then also the enemy is going to be getting information that their Skunkpaw is hitting, and a Skunkpaw can now be blown up by a trip mine, a thumper, a javelina, a false dart, a bounce bomb. So many different things can interact with a Skunkpaw now and explode it, and if you're within that Skunkpaw, whether it's friendly or enemy, when it explodes, you're going to be taking damage. And that's even with the recent buff nerf to where you can't damage your teammates. If it's your friendly Skunkpaw and an enemy blows it up, that Skunkpaw is now an enemy Skunkpaw doing damage to you. We did see recently in a lot of the tournaments, people were using Skunkpaw as cover, hiding in it, and you weren't able to dissipate the skunk at all. But this recent buff slash nerf now allows you to dissipate the Skunkpaw of yours or of an enemy by exploding it. So I don't think Skunkpaw is as utilized as it should be when it comes to a battle royale, like in Call of Duty, where you saw people able to carry 3 or 4 smoke grenades, like you see in Apex, where you have Bangalore who shoots multiple smoke canisters. And off the grid, when you have a Skunkpaw, you're only able to shoot 1, maybe 2 in like 20 seconds, and I personally don't think that's enough. With the explosive thing happening now, it did really just take Skunkpaw maybe from strong down to like weak, in my opinion. Maybe balanced if you really want to argue it. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Skunkpaw in the weak category. Now we have one more limb before we finish off all the arms and off the grid, and that is the new limb that we just saw this season introduced, the Painkiller. Now, all of us were speculating that it was going to be a heal on the timeline, in the Discord, in the comments, everywhere. We are all like, oh man, that's a heal. The Painkiller is so strong. If you have not decoded one yet, I don't care if it's 200 guns on the market, go buy your local Painkiller, because that thing will save you twice in one use, maybe even 3 if you are on the craziest fight of your life. I am telling you, it is going to res your team before they even know what's happening. When you get knocked in a Painkiller, you get this orange sign going for your res, and that's when it's healing you. Enemies can't tell. They didn't get the audio that you're being healed. So if you spin around while you're being healed by the Painkiller, they can't shoot you necessarily fast enough to be able to kill you right now. While the Painkiller is still new, it is still very strong. I assume it's going to get a bit of a rework in the future, so this rating is going off of what it is currently. However, I don't think they're going to nerf it into the ground, because we do need a heal limb in the game. However, right now it is very strong. Everybody's using it if you have one, if not using 2, and people are thinking you're cheating because you have infinite health, because it can heal you up to 30 HP a second, depending on the variant that you have. You can pop it in Storm if you have a gray one or a purple one, so that means if you're defending your event hex in the hex tractor and you don't want someone to come back to get it, you can take a bit of zone, wait for your health to get about half down, pop your Painkiller limb, and it's going to get you back up to full and keep you full until you have to leave. Clutch this to win a game and heal off. If you have a self-revive or a redeploy pack or a grid shield, you pop your Painkiller after you run away from the zone full closeout, and you're gonna get the dub. I'm telling you right now, go get your local Painkiller, thank your dealer, and thank OTG for putting this in the game. Now with that being said, obviously the Painkiller is going right up in its rightful spot in the meta. Now with all the arms done and sorted, now for our legs, first up we're going to be going over leapers. On activation, these legs propel you up and forward, significantly increasing jump distance. Keep in mind the leapers need a cooldown time between uses. Now they don't specifically shoot you forward, they shoot you whichever direction you are moving. If you're looking forward but you have your stick pointed backwards and you activate your leapers, you're going to shoot backwards like this and be able to shoot down. You can go sideways, forwards. I think they are a bit weak. But if we're talking about getting maybe 10, 15, 20 more meters out of your leapers per use, then we need the time to be the exact same to get from point A to point B on your leap, but have a greater distance. So that means the speed would have to increase. If their sole purpose is to get you up, they need to do a little bit better, and this is why. Because they are just as fast as the Hammerheads, if you ask me, and they get you maybe a couple meters farther. Now, if the Hammerhead's purpose is to go up and slam down, it should be fast, but I don't think it should be as high as the leapers. So maybe the Hammerheads need a height reduction, or the leapers need a height boost. Now, that's it for the leapers here. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw the leapers in the weak category, because not a lot of people are using them unless you're purely on controller and aim dueling as you're flying in the sky. And that's fine, but that doesn't play everybody's lifestyle. These are one of the best limbs to be using in off the grid right now. The Muay Thai loadout, kick 'em and rip 'em. For my friends out there, excuse my French, but the Ripper, you know, the good old CYBERLIMBS, man. You just go around flying that knee right into somebody's face, hit them with another. It did get a recent reduction, went down from 3 uses on the purple to 2, which I still think is very strong, because on impact you are doing 150 shield damage, and then there is 150 white health tick damage that happens over time, and it is very hard to survive 1 CYBERLIMBS, let alone 2, if you are not using a Painkiller drone. If you have a Painkiller drone, you can outlive 2 CYBERLIMBSes, no problem, by the way. Thank me later. But the CYBERLIMBSers are the best leg right now, if you ask me. All the good players are using it. Now, I said I'm not going off play styles, but this limb is just too strong. You can do all the white health that someone has in 2 lances and they're screwed. You can kill someone with 600 HP in 2 lances. Now, I don't think it's that hard to go up and just press legs twice in front of someone's face and hit them. The hitbox is very big for CYBERLIMBSers. I find myself hitting someone where they were maybe a second ago sometimes, and I think it needs just a slight bit of a nerf, a bit of a rework. They are very brand new legs, but I still would like to see them come down a little bit in the chart. So with that being said, obviously the CYBERLIMBSers are the only legs going up in the meta right now. Alright, Mirror Breakers. On activation, creates a short-lived hologram of its wearer, creating confusion and drawing out enemies. So when you pop your Mirror Breakers, you are going to get 2 duplicates of you, totaling for 3 people. If you pop it again, it's still only 3. It cancels out the original 3. So the cooldown with the purple is 22 seconds. Max charges is 2, so you can have 2 at once. Like I said, you can pop it and then pop it again immediately, but it cancels them. So when you do pop it, you do get a bit of a speed boost. Your gadgets do 10% damage of what you are doing, so it's not necessarily that they aren't doing anything. They are confusing, but they also do hit the target for 10% of the damage that you're doing. So it's actually pretty strong, especially in certain modes like loadout ladder, deathmatch. People are using them because when you get stuck with a false start, if you use your Mirror Breakers, that false start sticks off of you. It falls off of you. You are no longer stuck anymore, my friend. So it's very strong in some weird situations, but personally, I suck with Mirror Breakers, and I don't think they're that strong besides confusion. Now, they are pretty popular in the multi-respawn game modes, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my ranking mainly off of how people are using them there. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the Mirror Breakers up in the strong tier. Alright, for our next limb, we're gonna be doing the Thumpers, or the Mortars. It's a mortar CYBERLIMB with specialized capabilities, so when you open up your iPad, use your Thumpers, you have 3 dots you can select. The ability to get into the Thumper is a lot faster now, and to get out, and your Thumpers to come and rain down is a whole lot faster now. So the Thumpers got a recent buff with the way that they did the CYBERLIMBs in and out being a little bit quicker. With that being said, Thumpers are a bit stronger now. I've been killed a couple times recently since the update, and I'm curious as to what's happening, and then I realize, oh my god, I was Thumpered and I'm an idiot. Sometimes you don't get the audio coming in and going out of Thumpers, but with the recent speed buff, I think Thumpers are actually valid now. I'm not using them for legs, don't get me wrong. They're not on any of my loadouts, I'm not crazy. But what I am doing is picking up Thumpers anytime I see them, if I'm safe around me, and using them to call on enemies I see on the map, or to put on high ground buildings, or to stop a hex track, you know, by hitting the chip tower. It's just to grief people essentially now, and if it's endgame, Thumpers are very strong to do that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Thumpers in the balanced tier because they do essentially exactly what they're supposed to do. Alright, with the purple Hammerheads, on activation, these legs propel you high into the air, allowing you to select a landing spot. Upon landing, the limb smashes you down like Hulk Slam, throwing and damaging your enemies where you land. It's essentially a Slamfist concussion effect as well. You get 2 charges max, 5.5 landing radius, 350 damage on land, and it's very disorienting to be hammerheaded. You get the concuss effect from a slam, and you can get flown off a building and die to fall damage that way if you don't have a way to counter or fly out fast enough. The hammers are very strong because you can get up in the air fast, like I said earlier. You can fly away using them for movement, or you can use them for very lethal damage. If you hit someone twice with hammerheads, they're dead. If you land both, it's 350 damage per hit, so that's 700 damage when your full health is 600. I would maybe like to see a bit of a delay between uses because some people can really just hammer, and you're dead. Inside of a building, it's pretty easy to have that happen to you. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the hammerheads in the balance category because, like, they do get you up in the air. I think they might need a slight bit of a nerf. Now, our last limb is Roadrunners, guys, and I'm right there with you. Roadrunners, what's that? I haven't picked them up. CYBERLIMBS, baby. The way the Roadrunners are right now, the into Roadrunner speed is so slow. The sliding doesn't cancel Roadrunners anymore. The only way to cancel them is to cancel them manually or to fly. And man, it just feels so slow. It's like a quicksand when you get started. If they would have kept them the way they were, I don't think they needed much of a change besides maybe like not canceling when you slide would have been a good change that they could have added and made it, you know, decent. So with that being said, the only limb going in the trash tier is the Roadrunners. So I would like to see a buff to those soon, but nothing crazy. I don't want a crazy speed. I just pretty much put them back the way they were. But all right, everybody, this is my final off the grid CYBERLIMB tier list as of right now. Like I said, this is for the current meta. There could be any changes coming in the future and things might switch up, but for the most part, this is what we're going to see unless there's a crazy nerf to something like the Painkiller, the Cyberlancers, the Paralyzer, you know, the Maxi, stuff like that. So with that being said, this is it. Thank you guys for watching. If you do want to try your own template here, like I said, you can go to Tier List Maker as you see right here on the top of your screen and type in Easton7 just like this, and you will find the off the grid CYBERLIMB meta ranking. Thank you guys. I appreciate you all. I hope this helped you figure out what limbs you've been using. You know, if you're coming here to watch to see what's new and what you should be using, then thank you so much. Please remember to like, comment any questions you have, and remember to subscribe to catch more off the grid from me in the future. Easton7 Ambassador, out.